This is a mistake that I've made before, and something that I'm hoping to avoid doing next year when the next gen consoles launch. Now, believe it or not, while I have consistently purchased new Xbox consoles and always gotten my PlayStation consoles used years after for much less, I've always been Xbox minded, it seems like, ever since the PlayStation 2 era at least. I don't actually know which console I'm going to buy yet. I haven't really decided that. I'm really on the fence still. However, the fact that I have had my Xbox membership as many years as I have, and I just have that whole back history in that account, I feel like sticking to that side primarily, as the PlayStation has never been an ecosystem that I've played online with or purchased many digital games in. So it's likely I'll swing towards Xbox, but I haven't decided which way I'm going to go yet. But regardless, I do know one thing, and that's that I'm not going to purchase the console on day one, in the week of release, even in probably the first year of release. I made this mistake with the Xbox One. I know plenty of people have made the mistake with the Xbox 360, and now they've had obviously red-ringed consoles. I do have a launch model Xbox 360 that I bought used after the fact. It was GameStop refurbished, and it does still work, which is kind of a shocker because most of the ones that got GameStop refurbished do not still work, so we'll see how much longer that holds on. But there's two main, really even three main reasons why I will not buy a launch console again. And like I just mentioned, with the problems that were ridden on the Xbox 360 and the problems that I've seen on my Xbox One now that I'm on to my second Xbox One after my launch model's disk drive had problems, the Wi-Fi connector blew out. Not to mention those phantom update errors some of us got on our launch consoles where we'd try to update to the new firmware and it would somehow get us locked into this endless updating screen every single time we turned the console on. So both of these have had serious problems, I think, with both their hardware and with their software when it came to being a launch console. And those are really two of my biggest concerns with buying another launch console going forward. I feel like you don't hear these same sorts of hardware problems whenever they come out with the slim model or, the secondary model that comes out afterwards, almost always at a cheaper price. And the software is always sorted out by then as well, clearing up a second problem that I had with launch consoles. You think about the original Xbox One UI and just how sloppy and slow that is. But the third and biggest kicker for me of why I will not buy a launch console is the games. When I bought my Xbox One, I was super excited to play Dead Rising 3. I'd enjoyed Dead Rising 2, which I got games with gold. I'd never played Dead Rising 1, but I got Dead Rising 3 as my first game on the Xbox One. Had a great time with it. And then I just kind of looked around and I was like, what do I play next? And of course I ended up getting Madden 25 because I'm a huge fan of Madden, but did I need to buy Madden 25 on the Xbox One when I could have bought it on the 360? Not really, because in reality the graphics between the two versions aren't even that much of a difference. What we saw when these consoles launched, the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, were so many multi-generational games, and it even went on after the launch period. You see things get a little while later, things like Watch Dogs, which is a heavily hyped game in terms of how great it's going to be graphically, but then yet it also comes out on what is now the last gen hardware of the Xbox 360. So it doesn't feel as exclusive in the beginning to own one of these next-gen consoles when all the games are still coming out on the old hardware. And since the games are coming out on the old hardware, it seems like that's the way history has gone. I don't feel motivated within the first year or two to actually purchase a next-gen console. Not when I'm going to have to deal with a system that was one of the earlier ones coming off the line that's going to have issues problematically with the hardware. The software is going to be buggy and not sorted out yet, and the games are going to be multi-generational games that just don't quite feel like it's worth owning next-gen hardware for. For me, it wasn't until 2 years after the Xbox One launched when I sat down to play Halo 5 that I was finally like, this is why I bought next-gen hardware, because Halo 5, now I finally felt like this was a game that really utilized it to its full potential. It was a great looking game and one that I really enjoyed playing. And then you go even a year further, and then I really got an understanding, I think at the pinnacle, in my opinion, of this system, and that being Final Fantasy 15, which I'm not, a huge Final Fantasy fan in terms of the lore and, having played all the games. I actually had not completed a Final Fantasy game until I completed Final Fantasy 15. But in playing that 2016 title, I think that was really a point where I was like, this is what next-gen hardware is all about. And it took 3 years after the console was launched for something like Final Fantasy 15 to come out and really just blow my mind with what the system could do. So that's why I'm not planning to buy a console at launch, probably not even within the first year, maybe not even within the first 2 years, just because, for one, again, problematic hardware, 2, buggy software, and 3, the games just are not quite there yet, and they're still going to be released on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 at least a few years into the next-gen life cycle. That's my opinion. I would love to hear yours, and if you're going to be buying a next-gen hardware right away. But I'm Bailey, and I will see you in the next video.